I'm gonna help you get kids to train harder, and we're gonna start right now. One of the big things for me is that when I've coached at 2 different Olympics now, and 10 world championships, or I'm coaching at my second Olympics this summer when I'm gonna be the head coach for Team Samoa with the athletics. Now, when we're doing these things and when we're writing programs to help athletes, become state champions, become NCAA All-Americans like the banners that you see around me here, or even to become a professional athlete, we have to look at how, as a strength coach, can we get the most out of these individuals? And first we have to establish, why are we doing this, right? We're doing this, one, because we have a passion for training. We like training, something that we did when we were younger, motivated us, we became an athlete and we really liked it, we enjoyed the process, we enjoyed the journey, we did cool things, and we want to share that with other people and help other people do that. That's the root of everything, right? The next step then is that I hear coaches complain that kids today just don't want to train. Kids today don't want to work hard. Kids today don't show up. It's like, shut up. If they're not showing up, it's your fault. It's literally your fault. Now, I'm blaming you. And I think that takes us into that big initial step that we have to take, is that as a strength coach or as a coach, as an individual, we should not be blaming the kid for this issue. We are their leader. We are their guide. We are their Yoda. We are trying to get them to do the things that we know they need to do. So we need to clarify what we're trying to do, and we need to create this plan. So that takes us into these 6 key factors of persuasion to get kids to do what you want them to do. And it's something that you guys can all implement today and stop blaming other people like these kids. I think this goes into, real quick, another side rant is, you watch Gary Vee or you watch Jocko Willink. They're constantly talking about owning your shit, okay? They're constantly talking about only controlling what you can control. Don't blame others, because that's just gonna put you into the cycle of being unhappy. If you can control these 6 key principles, the kids are gonna listen. Trust me, our gym is literally in a cornfield and our gym is packed with kids because we take control of these 6 things. So let's start with the 6 things and I'll keep ranting. So that first step, and I wanna give you guys a real quick thing here, is that if you read Robert Cialdini's book, Influence, I think another one is Persuasion, these are principles that I've learned from those books, okay? And if you take that, the first key step is going to be likability. What does that mean? Likability to me means relating to the kid. One of the big things that I remember growing up is that I had a German teacher. Yes, I took German in high school. Sadly, I should have taken Spanish. But my German teacher would let us listen to German music. And there was 2 people I still remember, 2 groups. One was Rammstein, and they had that song, Du Hast. And we got to translate that song. And another one was the first person who was a DJ in electronic music named Klaus Schulze. I've actually had a couple videos where I've worn a Klaus Schulze video or a Klaus Schulze t-shirt. But what I learned from that German teacher was he was likable. He was trying to relate to us. He was letting us listen to it. Real heavy music in the late 90s. So we liked him as a teacher, and then that enabled him to relate to us more, or we thought we were able to relate to him more, and then in turn we wanted to learn from him. So in the setting of a gym, okay, or if I'm at a football field, one thing that or if I'm letting them warm up or letting athletes warm up, one thing I love to do, let them control the music and also just try to be relating to them. Try to think about what is on TikTok, what is on Instagram, what is on Snapchat, what are they doing on Snapchat, what are these things that they're doing, so that you can be more likable and more relatable. Instead of saying TikTok's stupid, you make your own TikToks. Instead of saying Instagram sucks, you make your own Instagram videos and you include them in it. And then instead of saying that new hip hop sucks, you listen to new hip hop and you try to relate to them instead of being super negative. And then that creates a big step towards likability, and that's going to lead to greater persuasion. The second big factor is actually something known as scarcity, and I actually think this has a big play in the realm of sports performance. I think this is something that it's hard to think about, but with scarcity, right? You're running out of something. And I think that if we can get a young kid to understand time, okay, the sooner that they can understand time or at least be aware of time, the more they start to realize that every single day matters. My son right now, I'll use this as an example. Hey, you're in 6th grade. I know this sounds crazy. You're in 6th grade, but soon you will be in 9th grade. And when you're in 9th grade, you're gonna be playing kids that are bigger than you in football and in track. And we need to make sure that you do your work now, okay? And that's something that we try to instill here, is that at Garage Strength, we'll say, look, if we can come in 3 to 4 days a week, that's gonna help you improve. You're gonna make more strides. If you come in 4 days a week, for 3 years versus coming in 2 days a week for 3 years, you're literally doubling your workouts and there's less scarcity of training, okay? And the big factor then becomes, now we have time to actually increase our results, and that leads to the next level of scarcity, which is there's only so many medals at a state championship to win. There's only so many medals at, in this case, if we go to the Olympic trials in the next 3 weeks, there's only 3 spots. That's scarcity. There's only 3 spots to win to make it to the Olympics. Then when you get to the Olympics and you have someone like Jaime Perez who trains here, who is an Olympic bronze medalist, there's only 3 medals that they're giving out. So you have to start to look at that in the regards to, one, the big picture is scarcity around the sense of we're running out of time or you're running out of time, and you don't want to be too crazy about it, but just try to have some importance around the value of their training sessions. And then in the micro setting, there's only 11 spots to start varsity football. There's only 5 spots to start with basketball, okay? The scarcity around the starting positions, the scarcity around the medals, the scarcity around who gets to win, that plays a major role in being able to get kids to work a little bit harder. Okay, the next 2, okay, this is going to be reciprocity and authority. These are 2 things that I think actually go hand in hand. And when I think about authority, okay, what I think about is we need to present a plan, okay? We need to be able to be in the moment and show control. Oftentimes, if I have a coach who's complaining to me and they're asking me, how do you get your kids to train so much? They start to blame the athletes. And I've recently had a discussion. They're like, oh, kids just don't train enough. Kids just don't train enough. It's like, well, what are you doing as an authority figure? Are you being a freaking jerk? Are you treating them poorly? Or are you treating them with some reciprocity? So as an authority figure, we need to create a plan. And I've actually done a recent video where I even think in the moment, you should be planning how you set up your gym. You should be planning how you set up that specific session. You should be planning how you set up that specific program for the month. And then you should plan those specific expectations from them. So now you're establishing yourself as the authority. You're establishing yourself as the guide. There's a reason why Luke Skywalker went to Yoda. There's a reason why Captain Kirk went to Spock. Spock was really the authority figure. Spock was Captain Kirk's guide, okay? So he knew that, and he knew that I could go get wisdom from this individual because he had his shit together. He had everything planned, okay? So that's something that we have to do as an authority figure. One thing you can do is head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store. You download Peak Strength, and then you get into those specific sports. So now you have a very clear plan that's periodized over a long period of time. That takes us into reciprocity. When we're coaching, okay, we need to listen to our athletes. I'm gonna give a quick example here. I have 3 athletes that come here and they train on site. They're elite football players. They're Division II football players. Their team last year made it to the Final Four. They come here 5 days a week. One of the things they said is we need to get faster. We need to get faster. We need to run a faster 40. We need to get strong. We need to get more explosive, clearly. But the most important thing is they have to be fast. And one thing for me was like, oh, we'll just do our normal stuff. And I started to take a step back and be like, all right, I need to listen to them. They need to run a faster 40. So my big step was, okay, I need to listen to Eden. We got to focus on this. This is going to be the priority in training. I'm going to focus all in on his speed because I believe that this kid could be a D2 All-American. I think he could go to the NFL. So, and that's a huge statement, right? If we can take that and listen, that creates that reciprocity towards the athlete. Now the athlete knows, oh, he's listening to me. He's taking things into consideration, and that goes back to likability. Dane let me play, actually the other day, Dane let me play a Lil Uzi Vert, and he knew who he was. Okay, we had a conversation about Rick Ross because he wanted to play Rick Ross, and I knew who Rick Ross was. So it leads into reciprocity and it leads into likability, all while you have that authority established. Okay, and now the final 2 that we're gonna discuss are commitment and consensus, okay? So commitment, this is a big one here, is that I think oftentimes as coaches, we struggle to create commitment from athletes, or we struggle to show commitment to them and not necessarily showing them the whole blueprint from the top down. Okay, so what I like to do to show commitment is that I will plan out a long period of time and I will paint a picture. I will paint the picture for the athlete. If we do this, I believe you can do this. You know, Eric Favors right now is over in Europe, and we will be going to the European Championships where I painted the picture where, Eric, I believe that you can go there. You can PR at Euros, and you can shock everybody, and you can medal. That brings in scarcity. That brings in the authority. That brings in my commitment to him. That shows him how committed I am. I want to create the plan. I want to go be there when he's executing the plan. I want to be present when he achieves whatever he could achieve. Okay, so there's a couple layers to commitment. It's showing them you believe in them. It's showing them you have the plan laid out. It's showing them that you're committed to their process. And it's showing them that when you go on site and you're in that moment with them, you're sharing that together. That goes back to the beginning where the whole point of being a strength coach is so that we can experience these things. And then what ends up happening is this fuels consensus. And consensus to me is a group aspect. If you have culture, okay, that's this like unwritten thing. It's hard to really pinpoint what culture is. But when you come into Garage Strength, you understand what culture is because you can feel it. You walk in, you're like, holy shit, this place is the real deal. There's kids everywhere lifting. There's 9-year-olds learning how to clean and snatch when we have strength coaches saying those are exercises that are too hard for 21-year-old Division I Power 5 football players to learn. We have all this stuff going on, and that's from that culture, and ultimately it's from consensus. When you have a large group of people that buy into you, that creates that greater level of influence or that greater level of persuasion. And it all comes back to executing everything else around that. So once you start to get that group aspect, it starts to snowball. And then that's when you can lead into creating a dynasty like what the Patriots did, you know, from 2001 till 2019. You can just keep rolling and rolling with everything, and you can really lead to that high level achievement. So make sure you use all of these different principles. Make sure you have examples for yourself, and you check yourself once a quarter. You work through this and how you can optimize this, and then ultimately make sure you head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store, because remember, freaks, if you want to become a champion, you've always got to cultivate your power. Peace.